Hey, what is going on, guys? Worst Trends here. I just got back from seeing the FNAF movie, and as you can probably tell, it didn't go well. For starters, as a hardcore fan of the series, I was extremely disappointed in this movie. In a vacuum, the movie isn't bad, it's just stuff I've seen before. No, seriously, the climax of this movie is nearly identical to that of the Fourth Closet, down to a drawing being the thing that reminds the animatronics what William did. Another thing is that there's just no real surprises in this movie. Everything here we've already seen in one way or another. I was never left shocked or interested after a scene in this movie. I was only left with confusion. After years of reading these stupid books, it has been drilled into my head to look for parallels in absolutely everything. But the thing is, this movie just doesn't do that. Like, this is the 5th or 6th universe in this series, but nothing fits cleanly. I've tried looking at this from every angle. There are so many things that almost connect, but don't. For example, Mike has an aunt named Jane. In the Silver Eyes, Charlie has an aunt named Jen. Like, these names are so similar that I feel like there's a connection, but if there was, then why wouldn't they just have the same name? There are actually quite a few connections between Mike and Charlie, but I could talk lore all day, so let's just get back to the review. Vanessa sucks. She's so weird, and cryptic too. Like, I genuinely don't understand why Mike tells her all this personal stuff when she acts like she belongs in a mental asylum. Like, she shows up at 3 a.m., knows everything about the place, and then when she turns the music on, she asks him to dance. Then she keeps showing up over and over again, and only keeps doing weird things. I honestly feel pretty bad for Mike in this movie. Like, he's just trying to do his job and provide for his family, but then this grown woman keeps showing up and making blanket forts and stuff. And instead of ever actually telling Mike the dangers of everything, she acts like some sort of Skyrim NPC with her cryptic messages. Like, dude, maybe just tell him that the animatronics are after his sister instead of threatening his life. And yeah, what was up with that? In a span of only 2 hours, Vanessa goes from encouraging Abby to play with the animatronics to threatening to kill Mike if he ever takes her there again. I genuinely thought the twist would be that she was a ghost the whole time. Like, she shows up at midnight every day for a week. And when she's doing this, she's either on parole, which means she's ignoring her job, or even worse, she's getting up at midnight, getting in her police uniform, and going to Freddy's. What part of any of this makes sense? This movie isn't scary, but I feel like it easily could have been. There are child corpses in these animatronics, but it never seems like it. I mean, you could have some, like, dried blood on their suits, maybe just have someone take note of a weird smell coming from them, or even just have the handprint on Freddy's head be more prominent. Like, this is textbook stuff, guys. The first game did this way better than the movie did. And yes, I'm talking about the eyes. I know it's practically a meme at this point, but the red eyes really suck. When the trailers first came out, I was a little disappointed, but I didn't care too much. But when I actually sat down and watched the movie, I couldn't help but think the white specks would have looked so much scarier. Like, there's this one scene where the camera is pointing in on Pirate's Cove, and Foxy's eyes light up. But the dim red glow of 2 bulbous eyes is nothing compared to 2 white specks appearing from darkness. I was thinking, okay, maybe they're saving the white specks for Golden Freddy to make it more impactful. But no, because Golden Freddy looks awful in this movie. The scary thing about Golden Freddy is how he was just an empty suit, hunched over, mouth wide open, and 2 sunken pits for eyes. But throw all of that out the window because in this movie, he's a fully functioning, standing animatronic with just some damage on him. And his eyes, the most defining feature of his design, a blue glow. Dude, that's just stupid. But of course, William gets the white dots, the only non-animatronic suit in the whole movie. And guess what? It looks great! Seeing the spring Bonnie suit come out of the darkness with the piercing white dots is great. But I wasn't even thinking about that when watching because why is William even here? This is genuinely some Saturday morning cartoon villain stuff. He shows up at the end for no reason just to taunt the main character and dump exposition. Like, the animatronics were going to kill Mike regardless, so William showing up at all was super pointless. The last thing I want to talk about in this review is who the movie was made for. Because if you really think about it, this movie is made for only a specific small group of people. This movie has no surprises for longtime fans, such as myself. My reward for reading dozens of these books is an ending I've already seen. This movie doesn't work for massive fans because none of this is new. But this movie isn't for general audiences either. It expects you to already know certain things about the series. Like when Vanessa reveals that her father is William Afton, anyone who knows nothing about the lore is going to be super confused because that name is never brought up earlier in the movie. So who does that leave? That leaves a group of people who like FNAF but aren't invested into the lore. That's not much gray area. All in all, I am extremely disappointed in this movie. I would say I'm sorry for being so negative, but I'm really not. I waited over 8 years for this movie to be released. They had almost a decade to make this movie as great as possible, but they dropped the ball so hard. Repeating events and plot points in a book made only for lore, while not perfectly fine, is manageable. But for a film? Everything should feel fresh and new, not just copy and paste from different parts of the series. For example, the scene where the people break in is probably the best scene in the movie, because we get to see something new. The animatronics get to be creepy and actually kill people. But it's the only scene that's really like that. After everything I've said though, this movie isn't terrible. I'd still probably only give it a 5 or 6 out of 10. The reason I was so negative in this review is because a lot of FNAF fans just seem blind to it. I have seen so many memes from FNAF fans just hating on people who dislike the movie, which sucks. However, like I said, there's still quite a bit to be enjoyed. But there's just so much stuff that frustrates me, and it really brings down the whole package. But to be completely honest, I think that the worst thing in this entire movie, by a long shot, has to be the severe lack of RATS in the FEDS!